Today, I'm testing every way to cook an egg. This is a basic egg, and this is a viral egg that looks like it was made by AI. But here are the rules. I'm splitting this into 4 categories. In each category, I'm making 3 versions and picking 1 winner. And by the end, I'm gonna combine all 4 winners to make the ultimate egg plate. So let the challenge begin, starting with the basic category. To make things interesting, I'm gonna be spinning the egg wheel to determine which method we're gonna be cooking in each category. Let's see what it lands on. First one is scrambled. My favorite way of making eggs. First things first, we gotta crack some eggs. I typically do 3. Oh, look at the color on that one. Then I just grab my fork and whisk it up. It's all in the wrist. To make the best scrambled eggs, you must start with some butter. I'm gonna add it to my pan and let it get nice and melty. Once the butter starts to bubble a little bit, we add in our eggs. Eggs are best cooked in butter. I'm gonna let the eggs sit for a split second and then we start scraping the pan. This way I make little curds and it builds the volume. And we're just gonna continue doing that until we get the perfect fluffy soft scrambled eggs. Go any direction you like. This is a soft scrambled egg, but if you want it to be a hard scramble, just let it cook a little longer. But this is the perfect scrambled egg. This one just slides right off the pan. Last thing, I just need to hit it with some salt and pepper. And that is our perfect scrambled egg. Let's give it a quick taste. Look at the fluffy layers. It's not overcooked. Cheers. This is a 10 out of 10, but is it gonna earn a spot in the final build? I do have to say, if I can't make any of the basics with my eyes closed, it's gonna get eliminated. So let's see what we get next. And we have poached. Making a poached egg is not as hard as most people think. So all we're gonna do is boil some water just until it's simmering. Tiny bubbles, not big bubbles. And then I'm gonna add in a splash of vinegar. This helps the egg whites to set. Don't worry, you're not gonna be able to taste the vinegar. But before we add our egg, I like to crack it in a bowl for insurance, just to make sure there's no shell in there. But before I add our egg in, we're gonna make a tiny little whirlpool. Ah, I'm nervous. Let it spin. And then I drop my egg right into the middle and let the egg whites wrap around the yolk, and hopefully that works. Unpopular opinion, I don't love a super runny yolk, so I'm gonna set the timer for 4 minutes for the perfect jammy soft boiled poached egg. Okay, sometimes I like to just help it along and it looks like it's wrapping and poaching just fine, but just in case. And then you're gonna see stuff floating on top, totally fine. Okay, the egg looks so good, no breakage here. But now I'm just gonna transfer onto a plate that I've already lined with some paper towel so it can absorb all the excess water. Now the only way to enjoy a poached egg is on some toast. I'm gonna carefully transfer the egg right onto my toast. Gotta hit it with some salt and pepper. And let's see if I was able to make the perfect jammy poached egg. Honestly, I feel like that's still too runny for me. I know a lot of people love that jammy, runny egg yolk, but it's just not for me. So this one is a mid. Poached egg gets 7 out of 10. Let's move on to our final spin in the basic category. And we have a crispy fried egg, which I do love. I'm gonna up the stakes and cook my crispy fried egg in a stainless steel pan. Some people say that's not possible and it's gonna stick, but hopefully I can prove y'all wrong. So we're gonna start by getting the pan nice and hot, and then to test whether it's hot enough, I'm gonna add some water drops, and if the beads dance around, it's ready. Once the water bead starts to dance, we're gonna turn down the heat and wait a minute. I'm gonna wait until that little water bead dissipates and steams off. And now we're gonna add in some olive oil and crack the egg right into the pan. I'm gonna coat the whole bottom for extra insurance. Turn the heat back on and we're gonna crack our egg right into the pan. The edges are already crisping up. There's no way this is gonna stick. But I also like to season it with some salt and pepper as it's firming up. And I'm gonna cook it until all the edges are nice and golden brown. And cooking on any stainless steel, it tells you when it's ready to be taken off because it'll just detach itself from the pan for easy liftoff. Voila! And my favorite way to have a crispy, lacy egg like this is with some soy sauce. The yolk is still jammy, but it's more cooked at the bottom. And it's gonna be nice and crispy with the lacy edges. The scrambled eggs might have been perfect, but I have a clear winner in the basic round, our crispy fried egg. Our crispy fried egg gets 11 out of 10. And it moves on to the ultimate egg build. And now we move on to our next category, which are the classics. And these are the ways that people like to enjoy their eggs the most. So let's see what our first spin gets. First up is an egg sando, a 7-Eleven Japanese classic. First things first, I gotta boil our eggs, but I'm not just gonna boil them, I'm gonna steam boil them so that the shells come off easier. And a quick little hack that I learned to make the shells even easier to peel later, all I gotta do is take a spoon, lightly tap the bottom until you hear a little pop. Like that. No shells were cracked or harmed in that process. So once my shallow water in the pan starts boiling, I'm gonna add my eggs. We're gonna cover the pan and let them steam for 8 minutes. And we're done. Oh. It appears one of our eggs has exploded during the process, but that's okay. Drop them into an ice cold bath. Then we'll let them cool down for 5 minutes. Now we just have to peel our eggs and crush them into small chunks. This one exploded, but it's still gonna be okay. If anything, it made it much easier to peel. It's been a while, but if I remember correctly, the Japanese egg sando is very fine with their egg white pieces, so I gotta make sure to crush it a lot. So even though one of the eggs busted open, it's still very fluffy. That's exactly what we want. I do believe that steam boiling makes the eggs texture better. Now to season it, all we need is some Kewpie mayo, salt, pepper, and to give the egg sando some balance and a nice little tang, I'm gonna add a splash of rice vinegar. Give it a quick mix, and that's already looking so perfect. Let's build our sandwich. We're gonna build it on 2 slices of milk bread. And you wanna know what makes the Japanese egg sando taste so good? Butter. They butter their bread. Add it on both sides. And I'm just gonna place a mound of our egg salad right on top of the bread. Okay, let's close it up. I'm gonna lightly press it down just so it can spread through all the corners. And with the world's sharpest knife, I'm gonna cut it diagonally. And here's our classic egg sando. Amazing, classic. Take me to Tokyo. 8 out of 10. But will it make it to our ultimate egg plate? Let's see what's next. Egg fried rice. Okay, I'm gonna try this to the best of my abilities, but I hope certain people on the internet does not come for me for this. But we're gonna start by cracking 2 eggs and I'm gonna scramble it. So far so good. Now let's cook our egg fried rice. Okay, we're gonna turn on the heat. I'm gonna add some oil and then we're gonna lightly scramble my eggs, then transfer them to a plate. So similar to how I scrambled my eggs earlier, I'm gonna cook them the same way, except we're gonna break them into smaller pieces, but still do like a soft scramble. Okay, that looks good. I'm gonna transfer it to a plate. I left them in pretty big chunks since I feel like they're gonna break down a little bit more later. Okay, now to cook the rice, I have some really cold leftover jasmine rice, and now we're gonna try to toast it up a little bit first. More oil, add it to the pan, and I'm gonna kind of spread it out, and I'm not gonna touch it for 30 seconds, and then we start breaking it up. Okay, now I'm gonna let it sit for another 30 seconds just to dry out the rice a little tiny bit. Okay, to season it, apparently I'm supposed to just drizzle the soy sauce on the side of the pan, add a little bit of white pepper, no MSG, and definitely no chili jam. I'll add the eggs back in, and then just give it a toss. I feel like my eggs are a little big, so let me just kind of break them down a little bit. Okay, let's transfer it to a plate. I like to garnish my egg fried rice with a little bit of green onions just for color. And here is the egg fried rice. You guys tell me, is this a fuya or a haya? I don't know, but let's give it a try. I'd say it's pretty good. The soy sauce color didn't evenly distribute, but it tastes delicious. It's a little salty. The eggs are nice and fluffy still. This looks pretty freaking good. 9 out of 10. But let's see if it's gonna make it to the ultimate egg plate. Let's do one more spin in this category. The carbonara. Carbonara is one of my favorite pasta dishes, and this is the first egg dish where you don't actually see the egg. It mixes in with the sauce. Actually, it is the sauce. But first, we're gonna boil our pasta, and today I'm using spaghetti. I have my water boiling in the back. I added some salt, and we're gonna cook it until it's nice and al dente. So while the pasta's cooking, we're gonna prepare our egg sauce. I'm gonna add some cheese, pecorino romano, and then we're gonna crack open 2 eggs and 1 yolk. Make sure it's nice and creamy. I'm gonna add our cheese to a bowl, lots of black pepper, and just mix it until it's a nice thick paste. Oh yeah. Okay, now to cook things up, to a cold pan, I'm gonna add some bacon. Usually it's pancetta or guanciale. But we don't have that. So I chopped up my bacon pretty small and we're just gonna render the fat and cook it slowly. The pan is nice and greasy, so now I'm gonna toss the spaghetti into the bacon, let it coat in the fat. Okay, this looks great. I'm gonna take this off heat so it cools down a little bit. And now we're gonna pour in our egg mixture, a little bit of pasta water just to thin it out, and just mix it all up until it's nice and creamy. The residual heat from the pan should be able to melt the cheese, emulsify the eggs to make this creamy, beautiful sauce. Look at that delicious, creamy sauce without the cream. And here is our egg carbonara pasta. It's creamy, it's salty. I definitely do not make this dish enough. But between the egg sando, egg fried rice, and this carbonara, I'm gonna have to say the winner of this round goes to our egg carbonara. This was a 10 out of 10. And now for category 3, some of my favorite things to test, gadgets. I've seen some pretty crazy ways that people use gadgets or home appliances to cook their eggs. So here is what we have, and let's see what we land on. An egg bite maker. That seems way too predictable, but I already have one of those, so let's try it. So when I think of egg bites, I think of Starbies, and so I'm gonna try one inspired by them. So we're gonna start with some eggs, 4 eggs, crack it in. People are always coming for me on why the egg whites are so thin. It's because these are farm fresh eggs. And then to make it nice and creamy, I'm gonna add our cottage cheese. The filling is just gonna be simple, and we'll mix it all up. Add in our spinach, feta cheese, a little bit of salt and pepper. One more quick mix. Now let's test this bad boy. So this gadget comes with 4 little cups here where you're supposed to spoon in your egg mixture. It also came with this silicone ring that you're supposed to fill with water and pour it into this bottom cavity where it steams the eggs. And technically, if you really wanted to, you can make one large egg bite right in this ring. But I'm gonna make the Starbucks style. Okay, let's add our egg mixture. I'm gonna put this in the egg maker carefully without spilling and finish off the rest. So far, pretty simple. I'm gonna plug it in and close it up. And I think it should just take 10 to 12 minutes. 10 minutes is up, and right at the 10-minute mark, I hear hissing and steaming sound, which means the water is probably almost empty. Question is, do I open it now or let it finish? Oh! The light also just went off, so it's ready. Whoa, okay, well there's definitely still a lot of water in there, but is it cooked? Okay, let's see how easy it is to pop this out. The sides stretch out. Oh, that's not good. Well, at least I have 3 more that we can finish cooking. 10 minutes, more like 12. Okay, I put it back in for 3 extra minutes. Let's see what it looks like now. Whoa! Well, it definitely overflowed and is more brown now. I'd say it looks pretty cooked. Okay, let's see if it pops out cleanly this time. Ta-da! Ooh! It does resemble SpongeBob, but it has that smooth, spongy look to it, like Starbucks. Okay, let's try this. I always need ketchup with my egg bites. It's soft and custardy other than the top part right here that got a little bit brown. The inside is so yummy. Not bad, not bad. Egg bites gets 8 out of 10. But honestly, it's way too predictable because it is made for an egg gadget. Let's see what else we can cook eggs with. I want to be wowed. A crepe maker. So will it crepe? I actually used this crepe maker in one of my videos before, but you have to use eggs with flour to make a whole crepe batter. But I've seen people make really thin egg crepes before, so I'm thinking this could work. But we're gonna crack 2 eggs into this little dish that this gadget came with, and then I'm gonna add a splash of milk to thin it out. This looks good. Let's plug in our crepe maker. And just for some extra insurance, I'm gonna spray it with a little bit of oil. It already feels pretty hot, so I think I can dip it. The oil's already steaming too. And what you're supposed to do is just flip it over and dip. What? Oh no, maybe I added too much oil. Let me try that again. What the heck? I mean, it half worked, it just never gripped onto the pan. But let me wipe off that oil because maybe we didn't need it. Take 2. No! I'm gonna have to just hold it and cook it all the way through. Hopefully it doesn't melt that plastic. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hold it long enough so that it cooks through, and I'm gonna flip it over. What a disaster. Let me just let it finish cooking to be like an egg tortilla. I mean, we already know this is not gonna be a winner in this category, but what can I do with this? I'm thinking maybe an egg and cheese burrito, hold the tortilla. An egg roll. 5 out of 10. One more spin in this category, and hopefully we get something a little better than this. The espresso machine. Espresso machine. So I have used my espresso machine to scramble eggs before. We've already done that in a video. But you know what we haven't done yet in this video? Is make dessert out of eggs. I mean, eggs are so versatile. Why does it always have to be savory? So I found this TikTok that showed us how to make an egg coffee dessert situation, and it looks so delicious. So we're gonna try it. Okay, so to make this recipe, I just need the egg yolks. So I'm just gonna go ahead and separate it from the white. But now we add a little bit of sugar and just whip it up until it's nice and frothy. This is not really doing the job. I gotta call in back up my milk frother, cause you know, it goes with the espresso machine. It's starting to thicken up a little bit. I just need to double the volume. Okay, we have our thick creamy foam, and now I have to pour it into a cup. Ooh. And now we pull a shot, and the hot espresso is supposed to cook the eggs. For extra insurance, I'm gonna do double shot. Whoa. This looks like tiramisu in a cup. Now, all I need is a lady finger. But let's stir it first, and then we'll give it a try. You can't even tell there's an egg in here. It's so creamy. It's sweet. Literally tastes like tiramisu, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but technically it did cook an egg. For our gadget category, I mean, we definitely did make some pretty decent egg bites, but it's too predictable. Of course it would work. The crepe maker was kind of a bust. I did make an egg roll though, but the espresso machine was super unexpected, and it has been proven that you can use an espresso machine to not only make dessert, but also scrambled eggs. So I think the winner for this round is gonna have to go to the espresso machine, because this gets 10 out of 10. And now we're entering our last category, which is the viral egg. These are all of the egg recipes that have gone mega viral, recognizable on TikTok. Let's give it a spin and see which one is in store for us. The tornado eggs. So I actually tried this recipe or hack way back when, and I had to use 2 chopsticks, and the results were not great. But this time I will still be using 2 chopsticks, but it's gonna be to beat my eggs. Cause in 2026, I found this other video where somebody actually got really smart and decided to use a fork to twist these tornado eggs. And honestly, I feel like that looks a lot more doable. So I'm gonna add some butter to our pan, turn the heat on. I'm gonna let the butter bubble a little bit, and that looks pretty good. Pour in my egg mixture, and let's twist. So once the edges look a little bit bubbly, she takes her fork, she pushes the egg to the side a little bit so that it could grip, and then we spin. Oh my goodness. It's pulling, it's tornadoing. All right, at a certain point, the egg just stopped twisting and it started to break. And that is as close to the tornado egg as I can get. I think I let it sit and set a little bit too long. You have to really have a swift motion of twisting it around. And I think my fork was too big for it, but I'm not about to scratch my non-stick pan with a metal fork. Tornado egg remains a fail for me. And while this hack was better than the chopsticks, I'm still gonna give it a 6 out of 10. This would have had to take me at least like 50 more tries to finally get it right. Well, let's see what we have next. The infamous cloud eggs. Believe it or not, I've never tried the cloud eggs before. I've tried the cloud bread, but not the eggs. So today is gonna be the day. I'm gonna separate my egg white from the yolk. Try not to break the yolk because we need to save it for later. But since I still have some leftover egg whites from one of our last recipes, I'm gonna use this one too. Whip up the egg whites until it's nice and fluffy like a cloud. It's holding its own. I think that looks good. Now they call it cloud eggs because I have to transfer this to a baking pan lined with parchment paper and somehow form it into a cloud shape. I'd say that looks pretty fluffy and cloud-like, but now I have to add a little divot in the center for later. Let's pop it in the oven for 5 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. Whoa, that cloud is sky high. Now for part 2, we're gonna add our egg yolk into that divot and cook it for another 4 minutes. And here's our cloud egg. The way that it turned golden brown kind of looks like a crispy fried egg, but fluffy. You gotta season it with some salt and pepper. And my question is, how do you eat this? And is it just one of those things that look really cool but just doesn't make sense when you finally put it in your mouth? I'm gonna cut through the yolk. It looks wrinkly and hard on top, but still has a little bit of a jiggle when I touch it. It's yolky. Kind of looks like cake. I'm just gonna eat it with my hand. It reminds me of cotton candy, except it doesn't melt in your mouth the way that cotton candy does. A little bit rubbery. It's like I'm eating foam. Not my favorite. 6 out of 10. Our last and final spin, hopefully I get a good viral egg recipe. The chili crisp egg. I'm not mad about this one. These chili crispy eggs remind me a little bit of the lacy eggs that we tried in the first category. So we'll see how this comes out. But she first starts by adding some chili crisp to her pan. This is gonna be spicy. Gets it nice and hot, and then we add our egg right on top. She garnishes it with some green onions, and then we're covering this. Then we just let it steam and fry all together. This chili crisp egg is just slipping, sliding inside the pan. But it looks done, so I'm gonna transfer it to my toast and get some of the oil right on top. Let's garnish it with some sesame seeds. And that looks like the perfect toast. I'm gonna fold it up like a breakfast taco. It has a little kick to it, but it's salty. The edges of the eggs are lacy and crispy, just how I like it. The yolk is a little on the runny side, but we can look past that. But out of all the viral egg recipes that I tried today, this one is definitely the winner. Taking 1 point off for the spiciness, but 9 out of 10. But now it's time to take our winners and build the ultimate egg plate. And so our ultimate egg plate is a breakfast pasta, complete with a lacy chili fried egg on top and a tiramisu egg latte. Brunch has never looked this good. I'd say we have a winner right here. But if you like this video, go watch me make tiny versus giant foods.